And with regard to the next point, point number 6, then At-Tahawi rahimahullah said, قديم بلا ابتداء دائم بلا انتهاء. He is literally the ancient one, without any beginning, the one who persists without any ending. So this is what At-Tahawi again says with regard to Allah: قديم بلا ابتداء دائم بلا انتهاء. That He is the ancient one, without any beginning, the one who persists without any end. Shaykh Fawzan said with regard to this point, as is indicated by the saying of Allah the Most High, Huwa al-awwal wal-akhir, Surah Al-Hadid, the 3rd ayah, Huwa al-awwal wal-akhir, that Allah is the first and the last. Then he said, and also quoting a second evidence for this point, and his saying, alayhi salatu wassalam, he quotes the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Anta al-awwalu falaysa qablaka shay' wa anta al-akhiru falaysa ba'daka shay'. That the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in a dua which he made to Allah, you are the first one, and there was nothing before you, and you are the last one, and there is nothing after you. And this hadith is reported by Muslim in the book of dhikr and dua and tawbah and istighfar. And this hadith is a hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu an, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he would go to bed, then he would recite this dua: Oh Allah, and it's a part of a longer supplication, it's just a part of it. Anta al-awwal falaysa qablaka shay' wa anta al-akhiru falaysa ba'daka shay'. You are the first, and there was nothing before you, and you are the last, and there is nothing after you. Then Shaykh al-Fawzan makes a correction of the original phrase of Tahawi, where he said Qadimun, the ancient one, literally the ancient one. Shaykh al-Fawzan said, however, the word Qadim is not applied to Allah the Mighty and Majestic, except in the sense of informing about Him. As for calling Him with that name, then there is not from His names Al-Qadim, the Ancient One. So Shaykh al-Fawzan makes this point, that we do not say about Allah that He has the name Al-Qadim, the Ancient One. But as for informing about Him, then we can say, as just information, the like of what Tahawi said, Qadimun bil abtida, Allah is the Ancient One without any beginning. Then he said, explaining why this is the case, he said, because rather from His names is Al-Awwal, the first, as we saw in the ayah from Surah Al-Hadid and in the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam referred to Allah as Al-Awwal, the first one. Then Shaykh Fawzan said, and the term Al-Awwal, the first, is not the same as saying Al-Qadim, the ancient one, because the term Al-Qadim, one who is termed Al-Qadim, that which is ancient, may have someone before him. But as for the term Al-Awwal, the first, then there is no one before him. There is nothing before him, the one who is the first. As the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam said, Anta al-awwalu falaysa qablaka shay'. You are the first, and there was nothing before you. So Shaykh Fawzan makes the point that with regard to Allah, that the name for Allah is Al-Awwal, the first. And Al-Qadim, the ancient one, is not from his names. And then he said, however, the author, rahimahullah, he made a precaution here. And he said, Qadimun bil-abtida. I mean, he made a precaution. He didn't just say Allah is the Qadim, the ancient one. He added a precautionary part at the end, which is Qadimun bil-abtida. Ancient one without any beginning. He said, and if he had just said Qadim, ancient, and remained silent, then that would not be correct in meaning. I mean, in the Arabic language, that which is Qadim, it means it's ancient, but it doesn't mean that that it didn't have something before it. It doesn't mean that. So there could have been something before it. So with saying it about Allah, then the Shaykh is saying it's okay if we say it about Allah, it's just information. If we put this precaution, Qadimun bil-abtida, ancient without any beginning. Obviously what is best is what occurs in the ayah and in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that refer to Allah with that which is his name, Al-Awwal, the first. Likewise, on this point, because that's where Shaykh Al-Fawzan ends this point, as for Shaykh bin Baz, rahimahullah, then he says about this same point, again a point of correction. He said, he's saying Qadimun bil-abtida, that Allah is the ancient one without any beginning. Shaykh Abdul Aziz bin Baz, rahimahullah, said, this wording, Qadim, does not occur amongst the perfect names of Allah. As the explainer, meaning Ibn Abdul Izz, explained, rahimahullah, and others. But many of the people of theological rhetoric, they mention that phrase, Qadim, about Allah, that He is Qadim, to affirm that His existence came before everything. However, the names of Allah are tawqifiyyah. The names of Allah can only be affirmed with a text. It is not permissible to affirm anything from them, from His names, based upon opinion, as the Imams of the Salaf al-Salih have stated. And the word Al-Qadim, the ancient one, it does not indicate the meaning which the people of theological rhetoric intended. I mean, they're trying to say about Allah that He has no beginning. If they're trying to say that, they shouldn't use the word Qadim, because it doesn't indicate what they're trying to say. He said, because the wording Al-Qadim, that which is ancient in the Arabic language, means that which preceded something else, even though it itself had something before, had or did not exist before. So just to repeat that point, he said, because in the Arabic language, the term Al-Qadim, that which is ancient, it means that which preceded something else, even if itself it didn't exist at one time. I mean, just to clarify what the Shaykh is saying, for example, an old house, an ancient house, it means the house was there before many other houses. But then before that, maybe that house wasn't there either. It came about a very, very long time in the past. So the Shaykh is saying this term therefore is not correct. We shouldn't use this term, or rather when they try to use this term for Allah to mean He had no beginning, that doesn't mean that in the Arabic language. It doesn't mean that which had no beginning. And then he gives an evidence. He said, such as occurs in the saying of Allah the Perfect, حَتَّى عَادَ كَالْأُرْجُونَ بالفتحة بالضم حَتَّى عَادَ كَالْأُرْجُونِ الْقَدِيمِ Surah Yasin, ayah 39. 36 Surah, ayah 39. With the explanation about basically until it returned like the old date stalk. Until it returned like the old ancient date stalk. In the Arabic language, he's making the point The qadim here means a date stalk that's very ancient, but it doesn't mean that date stalk has always existed. It's ancient, very old, but it doesn't mean that which is everlasting or eternal. It doesn't mean that which had no beginning. It doesn't mean that in the language. Then he said, rather the correct meaning is only indicated by the addition which the author mentioned here, which is to say qadimun bil abtida, ancient without any beginning. But it is not befitting to count that amongst the names of Allah, the perfect names of Allah, since it is not established in text. And we are sufficed in that regard by His name, He the Perfect, Al-Awwal, the first one. We've got no need to mention this term, Al-Qadim, because Allah Himself has the name Al-Awwal, the first. So we don't need to say Al-Qadim, the ancient one, or even to put this addition here, Qadimun bil abtida, ancient one without any beginning. We don't need that. We've got the term which is authentic, occurs in the ayah and in the hadith. Allah is Al-Awwal, the first. وَهُوَ الْأَوَّلُ هُوَ الْأَوَّلُ وَالْآخِرُ Surah Al-Hadid, Ayah 3. And Allah is the one who grants success, Shaykh bin Baz mentioned, rahimahullah.